of that last video. Okay. Bombshell coming out, but a bigger bombshell is that I'll be in Oxnard, California Sunday, and then I'll be in Rutherford, New Jersey, Manhattan, and then we'll be in Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. So put that on the front at the very beginning of that segment. Okay? Everybody's got that. All right. Kurt, you back? So there's more to this story. So the big revelation that Tulsi Gabbard dropped was this email that conclusively proved that Hillary Rodham Clinton approved the fake plan to connect Trump with Russian hackers. So that's what that's the big, it's from Leonard Bernardo, and that's the big, and they've had this is from the Durham Report Annex. So we all know this is real. Okay. But here's the second part of this. So here's the part that no one seems to be talking about except Mike Benz. Is that if you read right here, it says Hillary Clinton approved the idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. This should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes Olympic level. The point is making the Russians employ a domestic issue. Say something like a critical infrastructure threat for the election. So that's important. Why is that important? Well, Mike Benz points this out. There it is. Say something like a critical infrastructure threat. Why is that important? Because that was used for all the censorship that the government was doing was based on that. He says, holy effing, this is the classified index that has been classified for 9 years. This is where they cooked up the critical infrastructure hoax that created the legal predicate cover for the entire censorship industrial complex. So you know all the Twitter files that Matt Taibbi revealed that there was this public-private partnership to censor? So the government would tell the people at the Stanford Institute and CISA and all these other agencies that are supposed to be, disinformation,
Catherine Maher.
Yeah, they would all work together. So it all came from the government, which is the deep state, which is the establishment. And they say something like critical infrastructure. So why is that important? Because here, this is from April 5th, 2023. He pointed this out. He goes, remember how I explained the Department of Homeland Security's trick to get away with censoring the internet was to declare misinformation a cyber threat to critical infrastructure. So that's how the Department of Homeland Security got away with doing all the censorship that they were doing. They just declared, if you said something on the internet that they didn't like, they declared it a cyber threat to critical infrastructure. And where does that come from? It came from right there.
Yeah.
So
well, good news, Jimmy. Now it's just if you say something about Israel.
And the trick is everything is critical infrastructure. Everything. Elections, public health, etc. So we saw that with COVID. We saw that. So here's another one. He says, I can't yell this enough. Under the Department of Homeland Security's own legal justification, if you were sitting on your own toilet seat during the 2020 election and you tweeted that you didn't trust the mail-in ballots, Department of Homeland Security would then flag you to Twitter. They'd send a notice to Twitter and they said, hey, this guy's carrying out a cyber attack on U.S. critical infrastructure. That's why this is important. That's where this all comes from. And at the bottom, CISA, it says CISA's mandate went from stopping threats of Russian malware to stopping tweets from accounts that question the integrity of mail-in voting.
Mm-hmm. Or COVID vaccines. Or anything.
So the Twitter files have to date focused on the FBI and to a lesser extent the CIA election interference. However, a lesser-known U.S. government agency, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, known as CISA, also played a significant role in shaping the 2020 vote. CISA is a sub-agency of the Department of Homeland Security that was set up to protect real physical infrastructure like servers and malware and hacking threats, said former State Department official Mike Benz, now the executive director of the Foundation for Freedom Online. That's who Mike Benz is. But they expanded infrastructure to mean us, the U.S. electorate. So disinformation threatened infrastructure, and that's how cybersecurity became cyber censorship. So a tweet is now a threat to cybersecurity, and they're allowed to censor you over that. And that was a sub-agency to the Department of Homeland Security called CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Their mandate went from stopping threats of Russian malware to stopping tweets from accounts that question the integrity of mail-in voting. And then you weren't even allowed to question if the election of 2020 was on the up and up. YouTube would delete your channel. Talk about censorship. They did that to The Hill. The Hill, billionaire-owned Hill. The entire edifice rests on the scandalous, bent past the breaking point explanation that misinformation on social media is somehow a cyber threat to critical infrastructure, justifying the Department of Homeland Security's censorship as cyber defense. So he was saying this back in February of 2023. Mm-hmm. So that's what this is. Here's one more from him. There's two switcheroos at the heart of this government role in censorship. And by the way, there's two switcheroos to my stand-up comedy. I'll see you Sunday in Oxnard, California. Then I'll see you in Rutherford, New Jersey, Manhattan at the Village Underground. Then we go to Canada, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. So the foreign to domestic powers granted to stop Russian propaganda from 2017 to 2019 turned inward. So they were originally supposed to stop Russian propaganda, but they turned inward against the U.S. citizens since 2020 till now. Cybersecurity to cyber censorship, classifying tweets as cyber attacks on critical infrastructure. That's how they got away with it. And Matt Taibbi says, I don't think people understand the ramifications of allowing a federal agency to declare the information landscape critical infrastructure and assert the right to protect it through censorship. That's what they did. Just like when they said, hey, you know, everybody has civil rights except if we deem you a terrorist. So now they just have to do is call you a terrorist, and you don't get a court date. You don't get to the habeas corpus. You don't get anything. You get indefinite detention, just like in the 1100s. So we let the federal agency declare that in the informational landscape, meaning tweets, social media, was critical infrastructure. So now we can censor it. That's why this is important. That's why what came out yesterday from Tulsi Gabbard on Thursday, that smoking gun that Hillary Clinton was behind the hoax of Russiagate. That's why it's also important. Go watch my other video of the primary importance. The secondary importance is this is what set the landscape for them to do all kinds of censorship. I can't tell. No, I already said. Oh wait. Yeah, I already showed this. So just to recap, classified since 2016, hidden from Congress, used to justify mass censorship. The leaked email from Leonard Bernardo just exposed the origin of the critical infrastructure threat narrative. It was never about Russia. It was about legal cover. Hillary's team approved a plan to frame election security as a domestic infrastructure threat. The goal? To distract from her own email scandal. The result? They rewrote cyber law so they could spy on Americans. And that's where this all came. So it wasn't Donald Trump spying on Americans. It was the intelligence community, the Hillary Clinton campaign. This is where it all began, the fake narrative that gave the United States intelligence the right to treat dissent as a national threat. That's how they built the censorship industrial complex. They did it on a lie. Why isn't every journalist screaming about this? Because they're all in on it, most of them. That's why. Because they all work for the establishment that pushed the Russiagate hoax, because they are the establishment. And the Russiagate hoax served two purposes. One, to discredit Donald Trump so he wouldn't have any power as president, and two, so they could to manufacture consent of the American people for a war with Russia that they had been planning for a decade. a war with Russia via their proxy Ukraine. So that's why this is important. And it all came from the Hillary Clinton campaign. That's why Russiagate was important to the intelligence community and the establishment. The establishment wants the Ukraine war. That's why it's still going on.
That's why they didn't go too hard on him for making up that stupid P-tape shit.
That's why the establishment wanted 20 years of war in Afghanistan. That's why the establishment wanted 2 wars in Iraq and Libya and Syria. That's why. Because it's big money. And you can draw a straight line from Russiagate to the Ukraine-Russia war. A straight line. And you can draw a straight line from this Russiagate to cyber censorship by the Department of Homeland Security. That's another reason why this is important. And so these are huge stories which are not being reported correctly in the mainstream media. And most of the independent media is also, half of them are saying it's not important. This is only a distraction from Epstein. That might be the reason why they're presenting this now, releasing this now. Doesn't matter why. It matters the facts and what this reveals about your government. That's what matters.
Because you know why, Jimmy? They're going to go at people that say things about Israel. They're going to use these same tricks now that the other side of deep state, the all Soros, China, whatever the hell it is side did it for various reasons. And now the other side of the deep state is going to do it for nonsense reasons for Israel, where you can't say the kids are starving. So that's why this is important, because they all use the same tricks.
That's right.
They all do I'm with her, and they turn the onus on you as if these people weren't supposed to work for you.
Yes. So that's why this is important, and anybody who's saying this isn't important is not doing a good job. They're either lying to you on purpose to cover up their own culpability and pushing Russiagate at the top of their lungs for 10 years.
Or they need a booster. Get your 14th
or they need a booster.
Yeah.
Or they just don't know anything about it. Or they don't want to cover it. I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know nothing, Jimmy. I don't want to know nothing about it.
That's right. I don't think they know anything about it. They don't know anything about anything.
Well, sir, I don't need to know nothing about it.
Okay, over to Steph.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's see where we are. Oh, I guess I didn't get to start reading anybody yet. Here we go.
Look how good I used to look with my old hair. Look, I take Kurt off and show.
You can show Jimmy.
Look at that.
You look like an oligarch.
I look like I aged 20 years from that. That was 8 years ago. That was 8 years ago.
You know what my New York friend said to me? My beard was white, and I go, so? I'm a straight man. Give a rat's ass good. I hope I do.
I think you protest too much. Really? You're straight? Really? With that hat on?
I said to my friend after he said my beard being white.
Yeah, I know.
That's not a straight man thing to worry about. Should I soy sauce my beard up?
Soy sauce it up.
My friend's half blind, too. Blind Brian McCarthy said that to me. You son of a bitch. I'm naming you and shaming you.
I think I might have been going a little too dark on the hair dye. The problem is if you go lighter, it turns red.
No,
so I'm hoping that I get an acting. Yeah, I'm hoping that I get an acting part soon where I have to dye my hair.
No, you're gonna have to, and you're gonna have your face pulled back in a ponytail to look like a real casino mogul.
That'll be hilarious. Do I have to wear a wig?
No, I just say dye your hair, and then they just would put fake plastic surgery on your face, and then you're legendarily nice, but just a handsy boss.
It'd be great if we gave you puffy lips.
Look how good it looks. Look what?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's all you got to do. Oh.
You should be like, this doesn't look too racist, right? It's just a little pullback.
Yeah. Just a little.
Yeah. No, hey, get the scrunchie out and pull that face back.
Okay, over to Steph.
All right, fun fact. Kurt Metzger traded his Peabody for a sandwich, then his Emmy to get the Peabody back. He said the sandwich had more substance. Hollenbeck Charles.
That was like a long story.
Took some twists and turns. Jimmy, You're 27 minutes late. You owe me 27,000 shekels. Shekel Master. The real
Good
election.
luck, Shekel Master, collecting on that.
Shekel Master, new to the show. The real election meddling is the fact that elections don't fucking matter.
Yeah, everybody's texting me about that. You see this with Hillary? I'm like, yeah, I saw it years ago. Who gives a shit? Nothing's going to happen. There's going to be nothing done to her or anybody in her party.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen. That was
tropical jerk you around like the asshole you are. That's all that's going to happen.
Here we go. When can I expect Russia story available? Your YouTube, Rumble
tomorrow.
Or YouTube tomorrow morning. We start posting. That's from Roger. Hello, Roger. Thank you, Jimmy. 40% of Americans still believe Russiagate. The Dems must be exposed and prosecuted. That's a nice person, number 7.
That ain't going to make them not believe Russiagate no more. Now it's a matter of like, we didn't land on the moon and the earth is flat. It's a point of personal pride, you know?
So, Kurt, you saw...
Show Jimmy.
So you saw that I sent you that text with that video about, there's an alien spacecraft headed towards Earth.
Yes, and we should get my buddy from the channel Project Unity to fill us in on that because he knows all the people involved and he'd love to come on.
We predicted on the show that they were going to release the aliens to distract from Jeffrey Epstein, and there it is.
Well, they've done this before.
What?
This is Oumuamua. You remember Oumuamua, the asteroid that Avi, something Israeli guy said might be an alien? All these guys are talking about aliens. A bunch of them are Mossad. A bunch of them. So this is like, okay, what they'll do is jerk you around like they do every other year now, okay? And the big deal is supposed to be that they admitted that there's these ships because they used to say it was swamp gas or whatever. And that's supposed to be a big deal. But you know what? It's not a big deal. What kind of a remedial dipshit is like, oh, now they say it exists. I'm going to stay tuned for this one. Yo, if you saw it, you know it exists. Why you need them to tell you that it exists? The whole trick is that you're waiting for these assholes to tell you what's what. But haven't you learned by now it's all fake? And do your own research, you illiterates. I don't know who I'm talking to.